This video is for you if you're a consultant, a professional services provider, an executive coach, trainer, or other type of expert, and you're looking to learn how to sell B2B services, and you especially want to know the difference of selling B2B services versus B2C services. And before we wrap up, I'll share with you two things that a lot of people think are different about selling B2B services versus B2C services that are actually not that different at all. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the three big differences between selling B2B services versus B2C services. Let's start by talking about what we mean about selling B2B services, meaning business to business services. And everything we're talking about in this video applies whether you're selling your expertise, your services to big corporations like the Fortune 1000 or the Global 2000, but it also applies if you're talking about mid-market organizations or large small enterprises, even nonprofits, colleges, and universities. Because in all of those scenarios, the decision makers that you're selling to are not paying with their own money. They're not using their own credit card or dipping into their vacation fund in order to make the investment of working with your boutique firm. They're using their employer's money and resources. So the psychology is entirely different. And I'm going to get into the three biggest differences that are going to shape that in this video now. Difference number one in selling B2B services is that you're rarely, if ever, dealing with one individual decision maker. If you're selling to individual solo clients or consumers, it's typically just them. Maybe there's a spouse or significant other that might get pulled into that decision-making process. But generally speaking, in the B2C world, you have one key decision maker that's making a decision about whether or not to work with you. In the B2B world, inside of organizations, long gone are the days of the one single decision maker. Today, we live in a world of decision-making teams. And definitely in this case, teamwork does not make the dream work, at least when it comes to you and working with them. So you're now dealing with folks from either the same department, but who all would have a different role in the project or initiative that you would be involved in, or you're dealing with decision makers from different parts of the organization, and they all have different motivators, drivers, priorities, concerns, and yes, personalities. So you're dealing with decision maker teams, and you need to learn exactly how to navigate that while protecting yourself and moving your opportunity forward. The one pro tip that I can offer you right now about this is you want to build a relationship with as many of those folks on the decision-making team as possible. As a CEO of your business, whether you are a one-person business or you have a team of 12 or more, you are a CEO. Your firm is going to be responsible for meeting the expectations of these individuals. So it's incumbent upon you so that you've heard from everyone that you need to hear from. It's your firm that's going to have to live up to these expectations. So don't allow one decision maker to block you from having a relationship from the various people that you need to have a relationship with. And you can say to them, as the CEO of my firm, I have to make sure that I understand everyone's expectations because we can't meet those expectations as a company unless we've heard directly from those individuals. Difference number two in selling in the B2B market versus the B2C market is that when it comes to organizations, you cannot create urgency from the outside. And this is a big difference because one of the things that you will see taught in the B2C market, especially when it comes to things like online marketing, is the idea of how you create urgency. And it can be with disappearing bonuses or just-in-time offers. If you sign up before 5 o'clock, you're gonna get this discount, or the enrollment to this program closes on XYZ date, or that this program is only open to the next 12 people who sign up. That doesn't cut it when selling to organizations. The urgency is driven by their priorities inside their organizations. They are the ones that are deciding what needs to get done by Friday and which projects or initiatives or efforts have to get done this quarter before the end of the year. And so they march to the beat of their own drum versus in the B2C market where you can manufacture that urgency on the outside. So what does that mean in practical terms? Well, here's a pro tip. Your goal is not to manufacture a false sense of urgency on the outside, but rather to find out what already is urgent to those decision makers, to that particular organization, and align what you're offering to be relevant to that thing that's already urgent for them. And difference number 3 in selling in the B2B space is that customization isn't just a nice to have, it's an expectation. And this is somewhat funny, but every organization out there thinks that they're special, that they're different. They will even say that to you. Well, our company is very different than a lot of the ones that you work with. The fact is, if you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a trainer, you've worked with a lot of organizations, they're actually all pretty much exactly the same. But to the decision makers and those inside these organizations, especially if they've been inside that organization for a long time, they really do feel that their company and their culture is very different and unique. And so the idea that there is going to be customization that makes your solution or your program or your service customized exactly to what they need is very important to them from a feeling of being seen, being heard, and knowing that you're really going to get them. So customization is going to be a big part of what you do. It doesn't mean you have to rebuild the wheel with every client, but it does mean that there are certain elements or aspects of what you're doing that should certainly at least feel very custom to that organization so that they don't think they're getting something that's straight off the shelf. Okay, so those are the 3 things that are very different between selling in the B2C space versus the B2B space. But here's what's almost more important. These are the 2 things that a lot of folks think are different about selling to B2B versus B2C, but are actually not. The first is a lot of folks think that the sales cycles in the B2B space are longer than in the B2C space. But the truth is that whether you're selling to individual clients or you're selling to organizations, sales cycles can be super fast or years and years long. And here's a perfect case in point. Obviously, at Bold House, we work with boutique business owners and solo experts. We've had folks start working with us as soon as they come to one of our free trainings or meet us out at an event. We also have someone who's been in our community who first saw me speak at an event 9 years ago and just now started working with us because the timing was finally right. And the same is true when it comes to organizations. And the reverse is also true. You might meet a decision maker from an organization who, when you meet them, the timing is instantly right. They have a problem or a challenge and a reason right now to get started working with your firm. You might also meet a decision maker at a conference that you speak at or through a networking event, and it could take years and years and years for them to finally have the right opportunity to bring your expertise to bear inside their organization. Timing is all based on the priorities that organizations are setting. And a lot of the myths that you have heard about the length of the B2B sales cycle is often when it comes to products, things that are being sold into a company's manufacturing supply line. If you're selling expertise, companies could literally start working with you immediately, or they may not need you for years and years. So don't be scared off by the length of sales cycles. It has everything to do with their urgency. And the second myth is that there's less emotion and more logic involved in a B2B sale than there is in a B2C sale. But here's what's really interesting. Emotion plays a huge part for decision makers. They are stressed, they are overworked, they are burned out, and they also have values that they care about, how they want to see the world be a better place, or the programs or initiatives that are their pet projects that they want to see wildly successful. or they have a gripe with another decision maker that's involved with the decision, and they're going to do the opposite of what that other decision maker says just because they don't like them. Emotion can play a huge part in the B2B space. So don't think that just because a business case is so clear and the logical, obvious choice that a decision maker should, of course, move forward with doing something. There's a ton of emotion that comes into that. In fact, one of the things that you want to make sure that you clearly communicate to decision makers is that working with you is going to be easy. It's going to be simple. It's not going to add a lot of stress and overtime to their already overflowing plate. So yes, emotions play a huge role in the B2B space. So now that you know some of the big differences between selling to B2B clients versus B2C clients, the next thing you want to do is make sure that you're cultivating those B2B decision makers around you. So head on over now to my video on how to use LinkedIn to get consulting clients. I've put the link in the description right below. Click on that now and we'll connect right over there.